Hey, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Thursday night, about 9:06 p.m. here, California time. January 9th, 2025 is the date. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D globe shows a 1.5 into California. A little bit of movement happening out there, so let's go ahead and see what's taking place. Some movement out in the Gorda ridges here, or just north there. It looks like 2.6 earlier. This evening, that could amplify conditions out here across the Cascadia, the southern end. A number of earthquakes here, with the latest at 2.4 underneath this area, about 22 miles deep here. So a little bit of strain being produced here at the southern end of the Cascadia megathrust area. Yesterday we had a little bit of tremor activity, so let's go see what we got here today for Cascadia tremor. 0. Nothing. That's a little surprising here, but that's what it shows here. Yesterday, a little bit of activity stirring up there. Let me show you guys from the 8th. Some movement down into the southern end of the Cascadia, deeper areas. I thought for certain that we'd see a little bit more tremor activity here, but still watching that. Still watching the extreme southern end here of the Cascadia. Through Nevada, still getting some aftershock sequences there around the Yarrington area. That's where they had that 5.7 here a few weeks back. Nothing major going on there across the Bay Area. A little bit of swarming here offshore near the Santa Barbara Channel area off the coast here of Southern California. Got a number of earthquakes, 2s and 1s. The highest there, 2.9 in that little cluster. A little uncertain exactly which fault system that's on. It could be one of these out here, the Oak Ridge fault, or maybe just south here of this other fault system. But a little bit of interesting activity out here lately. Santa Cruz Islands, they've had some big earthquakes there. Santa Cruz Island, not islands. It's a different place. I do want to double check here the historical data in that region, because it's a little interesting there to see some activity offshore. Let's just go back, see what we have. We'll draw a little area out here of the area of interest, and that's going to be all right. Let me zoom in and double check here, make sure I got the right area. All right. Just kind of curious to see what we got for larger scale activity here historically. I pulled up 4.5 and above since the records have been kept, and it's loading still. So it looks like maybe about 13 earthquakes out here. Including that pretty big one, 7.1 back in 1812. That was off the area here, kind of somewhat close to today's activity. I guess the 6.8 back in 1925 Santa Barbara earthquake is a little bit closer to today's movement. But man, if you look here, a lot of these earthquakes have one thing in common, and that is a lot of time has passed here in terms of the larger scale activity. So even though we don't have a lot of activity here recently, far as last couple decades, it's got potential of some bigger movement. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Just offshore, a little sequence of events. Outside of Bakersfield, some movement as well with a 3.1. Some movement there on the Garlock Fault shear zone. Nothing big. 2.9, 3.1, 3.0. A little bit of activity stirring up here above the 2.5 level today. Southern California further down south. No major swarming going on. The southern branch of the San Andreas Fault sleeping for now. That's not going to be the case for much longer. Who knows when, but we'll see. Los Angeles got some big fires stirring up out there, including another new one. We'll get into that here towards the end of this update video. Up into the Idaho area, really nothing showing up there as far as major activity, mostly smaller microquakes. Go check out Yellowstone National Park here real quick, see what we have for the super volcano. Not a whole lot. That reading right here around Parker Peak, Purple Mountain, Maple Creek, the promontory, That is going to be the earthquake way down south here from earlier this morning, 5.8. One would think, wow, how can that show up across seismograph stations thousands of miles away? Well, just goes to show you that this equipment is working, and it's very sensitive in terms of picking up any earthquakes in the area, and also these distant large earthquakes. As far as local activity, I got about 2 of them. Very small microquakes there. Those are extremely small. And I don't even think it's that. Because this newer activity there is within the last few hours. But nothing major going on there, folks, across Yellowstone. It's been awfully boring is the word, and that's probably a good thing. Oil fields of Texas still getting hit. No major movement out east as far as anything across the globe here in large-scale activity, aside from that 5.8. Well, looks like another 5-pointer here across the Tonga Trench. A couple smaller quakes as you work your way down the plate boundary here. Aside from that, typical clustering going on around the Philippines area southward, and a handful of earthquakes, aftershock sequences there from that 7-pointer around the Nepal area. Fairly active over here across the Mediterranean and Turkey region, Iran included. Got a swarm of activity with some 4s in the mix as well. That's going to be listed here on the map. Out around the Mediterranean Sea, the latest of 4.1 here along the plate boundary. Overall, things have been amplified out here, including the rift boundary. So there's definitely something stirring up underneath this area. One earthquake there across the Ethiopia rift boundary of 4.5. In fact, that was from last night. The Atlantic Ocean, pretty quiet. Trail of deep earthquakes here across the Peru-Chile Trench. Might want to keep an eye on that. Got some movement stirring up here across Peru, all the way down the subduction zone. Normally when this thing stirs up like that, in terms of deeper activity, we'll see some major adjustments. So keep an eye on that area. Alaska, 4-pointer coming in here recently. That is off the Aleutian Trench here. About, man, these are some shallow earthquakes up here. 4-pointer followed up by a couple 2s here in the last few hours. Nothing major going on there across Alaska for now. Quick glance here at the space weather activity. Shows things are continuing to dwindle away here in terms of the flare threat. I've actually lowered my flare threat potential here for 3947 as it's showing continued decay in the magnetogram, the latest colored one here. And this area over here is a newly developed one, but it looks like we're starting to get a little separation here of the core of that sunspot. But we'll watch it. It's grown, definitely grown here in the last 24 hours. But as far as any major threat right now, there really isn't. In fact, there's probably less than a 10% chance there of X flare. 55% chance for an M flare, but we'll see what happens. No major roars in the forecast there for now, folks. Quick glance here at the fire activity in Southern California. Another new fire started up. I believe this is it. This is it up here, the Kenneth Fire near the West Hills area. A little interesting. Starting up here in the mountains off a dirt road that is leading down south here into some further nice neighborhoods out here. That's at about 1,000 acres. As you can see there, it looks fairly lit up in terms of fire out there on the landscape. The big one down here, the Palisades Fire, 19,000 acres, almost 20,000 acres there. That is sitting at, let's see what we got here for the containment. 6% containment, so that's good. Getting a jump on it. But still got some potential for some wind coming up here in the next couple days, which may further fuel the fires and probably start a couple more fires out here. Pretty much unreal. Eaton Fire, that is at 0% containment, growing at 13,000 acres. That's coming out to be a big one as well. Yeah, so not good. A couple smaller Looks like commercial fire. I don't know what these are back over here. Those have been stopped, but the big ones right now definitely stirring up still. Let's go ahead and check out the weather, see what we got here for the next couple days. And then I'm going to call it, folks. I am tired. I am just worn out is the word. Let's see. So let's go over here to wind, see what we got here for the current conditions. Right now, nothing major going on. There is some higher gusts up around the Eaton Fire. Of course, that's outside this area here, outside of Pasadena. 50-mile-per-hour gusts up there, still flowing offshore. That is going to increase here, I believe, as we head towards the weekend. Friday, not so much, but let's see here. Saturday brings about some further wind. Sunday, not a whole lot here. Monday could be another bad one here. Hopefully these guys get a major jump on it before we get those stronger wind events once again. But I mean, and there's no rain. Unfortunately, there's no rain in the forecast here for these guys. I've been keeping an eye on it. I've been watching it closely because this concerns me as well in terms of rainfall. Here in Northern California, we're actually sitting at about, in my neck of the woods here, we're sitting at about 140% of normal rainfall accumulation here for this winter. So we're actually pretty wet, but if a month goes by, that number is going to drop sufficiently and significantly there. But Southern California, roughly about Stockton southward into Southern California, very minimal rain. Southern California hasn't seen rain in, I think, 8 months. And that is not good. Let's go ahead and check out the weather patterns out here, see if we got anything in the forecast. A massive amount of high pressures out here with this cooler air sitting across the majority of the country, everywhere except California. And wow, it's a little bleak here in terms of any type of rainfall. As you can see here, just very minimal. Not a whole lot there across Southern California. This is up to the 25th of January. Definitely not looking good in terms of rainfall potential out here. I mean, I was outside getting a little sun today. 73 degrees here in Northern California. That is not normal here for us. That's actually quite warm. The top layer of the soil is getting dry. Obviously, deeper levels still moist, but man, not good. 4.6 there across the Macquarie Island area. One of the latest quakes coming in. That would somewhat put New Zealand there in an amplified zone. 5.1 up here earlier this evening. Now we got a 4.6. Keep an eye here along this plate boundary of New Zealand. Seismograph stations out there across the area looks pretty quiet. Petrolia and Dinsmore and China Lake here. The plate boundary stations are offline for some reason. They do have a tendency there to go offline on occasion, but they should come up here soon, hopefully. All right, folks, have yourself a good evening. I'm out of here. Take care. We'll catch you guys back out here tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, so that is a good thing, right? Friday. Who doesn't love Friday? We'll catch you guys out here later.